While connecting with the Bluetooth in my wife's car, I happened to hear her say to my best friend after he hands me the house for tax bonuses, "We'll have everything and we'll forget about this fool." They laughed. I continued to silently live under the same roof with her for 97 days. And today, 42 missed calls, all from her number. I've read stories like this before, always thinking, that's insane, but it would never happen to me. You hear about betrayal, double lives, secret affairs. It's TV drama stuff, not real life. Certainly not my life. I had a good job, a steady routine, and a wife I'd loved for over a decade. But now I know better. It was a regular Tuesday. April 9th, to be exact. I only remember the date because it was the day before our monthly bills were due, and I always sit down that evening to review our budget. My wife, Valerie, 37F, and I, 39M, had been married for 11 years. From the outside, and honestly, from my own view up until that day, our marriage looked solid. We weren't perfect, but who is? Valerie had her book club every Tuesday. That was her thing. I usually stayed late at the office catching up on tasks that slipped through the cracks during the week. But that day, something weird happened. The system at work went down around 2:30 p.m. and our IT guy told everyone to head home until they figured it out. Free afternoon? I figured I'd stop by Costco. We were low on essentials, coffee, dog food, toilet paper, and those dark chocolate almond snacks Valerie liked. Married life stuff. I parked in the Costco lot, pulled out my phone, and started scrolling through Spotify. My buddy James had sent me a podcast on passive income strategies, and I figured I'd give it a try. I hit the Bluetooth connect button out of habit, expecting it to link to my car. Instead, it connected to Valerie's SUV. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Her Toyota Highlander shouldn't have been anywhere near me. Her book club met across town at her friend Erica's house. But then, clear as day, I heard laughter. Her laughter. That soft, warm one she only does when she's genuinely amused, not the fake chuckle she gives in social settings. Then I heard a man's voice. And my stomach dropped. It was Mason. My best friend since college. My best man at our wedding. The guy who helped me move into my first apartment. Mason. I sat frozen in the driver's seat, thumb still hovering above the screen, completely forgetting about the podcast. Valerie's voice came through again, slightly slurred, the way she sounds after 2 glasses of wine. "He seriously has no clue," she said, and laughed again. Mason responded, "Derek thinks I'm in Chicago for that startup expo. Man, he's too trusting." Valerie giggled. "Liam thinks I'm at book club. The man doesn't question anything. Remember your sister's wedding? We almost got caught in the elevator." They laughed. Both of them. At me. My hands were shaking. I couldn't move, couldn't even think. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the car. But they kept talking, completely unaware that their voices were being piped directly into my eardrums. "Once he signs over the house for that tax thing, we'll finally be free," Valerie said. "No more sneaking around. No more pretending." "How long do we have to keep this going?" Mason asked. "Couple more months, tops. My advisor said the capital gains thing works better if we wait until after tax season. He already thinks putting the house in my name is smart because of my freelance status. He's so clueless about money." I stared straight ahead, not even seeing the rows of cars anymore. Just white noise. My own wife. My best friend. Plotting to take the house. Building a future together while using me as their stepping stone. They've been doing this for 2 years. 2 years. While I was working late. While we were hosting barbecues. While I was taking Mason fishing for his birthday and buying Valerie flowers just because. And now they were laughing at how easy it all was. I don't know how long I sat there. Maybe 10 minutes. Maybe an hour. I just remember my thumb finally slipping, disconnecting the Bluetooth. The silence that followed was deafening. Eventually, I drove home, but I barely remember it. I parked in our driveway and just sat there, staring at the garage door. My garage. My house. The place I had dreamed of growing old in with the woman I loved. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through her photos. Beach trips. Holidays. Her birthday dinner last year, Mason was there, raising a glass to friendship. I felt sick. The first wave of rage was hot, like my skin was burning. Then it went cold, a hollow, icy numbness that settled deep in my bones. I wanted to storm inside, scream at her, break something. I wanted to call everyone we knew and expose them both. But then I remembered the way they laughed. The way she called me clueless. Pathetic, even. And just like that, something inside me clicked. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of a meltdown. They thought I was a fool. They thought I was easy to manipulate. They thought they had time. They were wrong. I went inside, unloaded the groceries I never actually bought, and sat down at the kitchen table. I opened my laptop and started a list. Step 1. Don't confront her yet. Step 2. Gather evidence, everything. Step 3. Check joint accounts. Step 4. Find a lawyer. Step 5. Pretend everything is normal. That last one would be the hardest. But I had to make it work. I wasn't going to lose my home, my dignity, my life. Not without a fight. That night, Valerie came home around 9, a little too cheerful, her cheeks flushed, reeking of red wine and cologne that wasn't mine. I was sitting on the couch watching Netflix. Book club went late, she said, toeing off her shoes like nothing in the world was wrong. Oh yeah? I smiled. Pizza's in the fridge. I ordered while you were out. She blinked. Just for a second, her smile faltered. Like she expected a confrontation that never came. Instead, I kissed her on the cheek, grabbed the remote, and said, "You missed the twist ending." And just like that, the game had begun. The next morning, I woke up wondering if it had all been a horrible dream. For about 10 seconds, I convinced myself I must have imagined the whole thing. But then Valerie rolled over, kissed my cheek, and mumbled something about me grabbing her dry cleaning after work. That snapped me right back into reality. The same dry cleaning, no doubt, that she wore on her little secret getaways with Mason. I smiled and said, "Sure, babe," then headed straight to the bathroom and threw up. That became my new routine, acting like everything was fine while dying slowly inside. I couldn't confront her yet. Not until I had everything I needed. That day during lunch, I created a new ProtonMail account. I dug out an old phone from a drawer, wiped it clean, and installed Signal. No trace on our shared plan. No connection to my real life. I kept it hidden in my gym bag. Every time we spoke, I hit record. I started taking screenshots of our bank statements, copying credit card transactions, everything. Valerie had no idea. The hardest part was pretending I still trusted her. I started playing the role of the perfect husband. Flowers on random Thursdays. Asking about her day. Making coffee every morning. I started fixing small things around the house, things she'd complained about for years. She bought it. Completely. I even brought up the house transfer myself, something about an article I read on self-employed tax benefits. "Oh," she said, trying to act casual. "My advisor mentioned something like that too. Maybe we should look into it." Her eyes practically lit up. I nodded. Might be worth it. Inside, I wanted to scream. But on the outside, I was her supportive, sweet husband. The idiot she thought I was. By the end of that week, I'd found her second checking account. It was tucked away in a folder labeled Fitness Goals on her computer. Cute. It had almost $38,000 in it, siphoned slowly from our joint savings over the past 18 months. Little amounts, $250 here, $400 there. Spread out just enough that I didn't notice. I started calling her strategic. I found printouts of emails between her and Mason in a tampon box in the bathroom closet. Not even a locked drawer, just casually hidden in plain sight, like she wasn't even trying. I took photos of everything and put it all back exactly as I found it. Then I found a lawyer. Her name was Danielle. I found her through a Reddit thread, ironically. I'd posted a vague question in a legal advice sub about a friend's situation. She messaged me and we set up a consultation. Danielle didn't sugarcoat anything. "You need patience," she said. "And evidence. As much as you can gather. If they think you know, they'll move faster. You need to be 10 steps ahead." I walked out of that office knowing exactly what I had to do. 91 days left. 91 days of pretending. Watching. Planning. Every night, Valerie curled up beside me in bed, scrolling on her phone, probably texting Mason while I lay there wondering if I was losing my mind. I wasn't. I was just waking up. Mason, of course, still acted like my best friend. Texted me about fantasy football. Invited me to hang out. Sometimes I even said yes. We watched basketball together. Had beers. He glanced at his phone and smiled when Valerie texted from the other room. I knew exactly what he was doing. He thought I was blind. I was documenting everything. They had a shared Google Photos album. I found it on Valerie's old iPad, the one she thought she'd wiped. There were vacation selfies, beach sunsets, hotel receipts, even a stupid selfie of them brushing their teeth in matching robes. The worst part? It was all while I was out of town or working late. I found screenshots of their texts. "Can't wait until we don't have to lie anymore," she'd written. They even had a shared Spotify playlist. Titled Us. Full of songs about secret love and new beginnings. Every night, I lay there holding that rage inside like a hot coal, letting it burn me quietly while I smiled and asked how her book club was going. I even made pancakes shaped like hearts one Saturday morning. She posted it on Instagram. Lucky to have such a thoughtful husband, she wrote. Yeah, real lucky. One day, my brother Nathan asked if I was okay. Said I seemed off. I almost told him everything. I wanted to, but I shook my head and said work was just stressful. Then I started talking about the deck project we were planning for spring. He didn't press. Just nodded and offered to help with the build when I was ready. 91 days is a long time to live a lie. I'd be brushing my teeth and wondering what she was doing in the next room. She'd be sitting next to me on the couch texting, and I'd be wondering if she was planning her next hotel stay. Sometimes I'd walk by the bedroom and hear her talking on the phone in that soft, flirty voice she used to use with me. I took notes. Every date. Every suspicious location. I logged where she said she was going and where her GPS data said she actually went. Fun fact, T-Mobile location tracking doesn't lie. She thought she was being clever by turning off her Instagram location tag. She forgot about our phone plan. I was watching everything. But the hardest part wasn't the lying. It wasn't even the pretending. It was the moments when I forgot. When she'd laugh at a stupid joke I made, or when we'd both sing along to a song on the radio like old times. For a few seconds, it would feel real again. And that was the cruelest part. Because then I'd remember the Bluetooth in the Costco parking lot. I'd remember being called pathetic. And I'd remember what I was working toward. Day 64, she asked if I'd booked the tax appointment. I said I had. I smiled. They had no idea. By the time I hit day 65, I was running on caffeine, adrenaline, and spite. I'd become so good at pretending everything was normal that even I started to believe it sometimes. Valerie was still smiling, still laughing at my jokes, still texting Mason from the bathroom while brushing her teeth. I'd become invisible in my own marriage, a background character in their love story. But behind the curtain, I was quietly flipping every switch. I kept feeding her exactly what she wanted: reassurance, consistency, and just enough clueless husband energy to keep her feeling smug. I accidentally left tabs open on our shared iPad about tax loopholes and home ownership laws. She found them, of course. Even asked me about one of the articles casually. "You been researching stuff?" she asked over dinner one night. "Just curious," I said, chewing slowly. "Figured it wouldn't hurt to know what the options are." She smiled. "Smart. You've always been good with that kind of thing." I wanted to laugh in her face. Instead, I reached for the salt. By day 70, Valerie was planning everything down to the color of the throw pillows for her new life. I found an Amazon wishlist called Fresh Start. It was full of furniture and kitchen supplies, including a damn coffee machine she told me was too expensive last year. Now, magically, it was on her shopping list. I scrolled through the items late one night, alone in the bathroom, wondering how long she'd been planning to leave. Wondering how many times she'd smiled at me while mentally replacing me with Mason. That same week, Mason invited me on a guy's trip to his family's cabin. It was scheduled for the weekend after the tax appointment. Perfect timing, right? A little victory celebration after I'd signed everything over. "Just us, beers, fishing like the old days," he said in a text. I texted back, "Can't wait." He had no idea I'd already sold the fishing gear. By day 80, I'd moved almost everything that mattered to me into a storage unit. Not in one big, obvious move, just small stuff here and there. My dad's old baseball cards, my grandfather's watch, my birth certificate. Valerie even helped me pack a few boxes when I said I was decluttering. "This Netflix show has me in the mood to downsize," I joked. She laughed and tossed one of her old scarves into a donation pile. She had no idea she was helping me prepare to disappear. I spent one entire weekend scanning every piece of mail, every receipt, every document we had in the house. If it had my name on it, I backed it up in 3 places: encrypted cloud drive, external hard drive, and a flash drive I kept on my keychain. Day 85, Valerie brought home updated life insurance paperwork. "We should probably review this," she said casually, like we were deciding on a new brand of laundry detergent. She had already filled in her part. I wasn't even listed as a beneficiary anymore. Her sister Riley was. I played dumb, said I'd look over it later, then accidentally spilled coffee on the forms, so we'd need to order new ones. Day 88. I found a text from Mason pop up on her Apple Watch while she was in the shower. It was just 3 words. Miss you already. I took a photo of the screen and added it to my growing digital war chest. Then I went downstairs and made her favorite breakfast. French toast with powdered sugar and strawberries. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and said I was too good to her. Right. The hardest moment came on day 90. I walked into the grocery store and ran into Riley, Valerie's sister. We'd always gotten along, but this time she barely made eye contact, said hello, gave me a quick nod, and practically bolted for the frozen food section. Clearly, Valerie had already started spinning the narrative. I was the distant, inattentive husband, the reason she was unhappy, laying the groundwork so her family wouldn't ask too many questions when she finally had to leave. I didn't say anything, just let her walk away. Kill him with kindness, I reminded myself. Day 92, I had a final strategy meeting with Danielle, my lawyer. She went over every form, every legal document I'd signed. My heart was racing the whole time, but she was calm as ever. Clinical, focused. We're ready, she said. You sure you want to go through with this? I've never been more sure of anything, I said. Day 94, I packed the last box and dropped it at my brother Nathan's apartment. He still didn't know the full story, just that I might need a place to crash for a while. He made up the guest bed, handed me a key and said, "Stay as long as you need. Brothers, man. They show up when it counts." Day 95, Carl. A guy from work I barely talked to before this. Helped me recover deleted files from our old laptop. He has a side gig doing digital recovery. Turns out Mason and Valerie had been messaging each other through a hidden folder on the desktop. Not even clever, just titled Budget 2021. Inside were 3 years of messages, explicit photos, and a PDF titled New Plan. That document was the smoking gun. A full layout of their post-divorce strategy. Financial projections. Housing estimates. A timeline. They referred to me as the current obstacle. 3 years of my life reduced to a spreadsheet cell labeled problem. Day 96, Valerie suggested a fancy dinner out just because. She dressed up, wore the earrings I bought her on our 5th anniversary. She laughed a little too hard at my jokes, touched my hand during dessert, and later initiated sex for the first time in months. I went through the motions, detached and cold inside. Afterward, she laid her head on my chest and whispered about how excited she was for tomorrow, our big step forward. I stared at the ceiling. She had no idea that the only thing happening tomorrow was the end. I woke up at 5:07 a.m. on the day everything was supposed to fall into place, at least from Valerie's perspective. The room was quiet. She was still asleep, curled up on her side of the bed. Peaceful, like someone who believed she was hours away from securing her new life, new man, and my house. I slipped out of bed, made coffee like I always did, and stood by the kitchen window watching the sun rise over the street. The irony was almost funny. Today was supposed to be the final piece of their plan, but really it was mine. At 7:30, Valerie's alarm went off. She padded into the kitchen wearing her robe, yawned, and kissed my cheek. "Don't forget our appointment at 2, she said, her voice full of fake cheer. I smiled back. Wouldn't miss it. She poured her coffee and sat across from me at the table. "You still have that quick meeting this morning?" she asked, doing her best to sound casual. I nodded. "Shouldn't take long. I'll just meet you at the advisor's office." Her relief was visible. A tiny exhale through the nose. A micro smile. Everything was still on track. In her mind. She left at 9:15. Probably texted Mason before she even turned off our street. As soon as her car disappeared, I moved fast. 9:40 a.m. Danielle's office. I signed the last few documents. Divorce papers, financial disclosures, motion to freeze our joint accounts. Everything was perfectly timed. She handed me a flash drive with all the evidence we'd collected. Screenshots, call logs, photos, audio files. A 3-month dossier of betrayal. I'd already sent copies to cloud storage just in case. Before I left, Danielle asked, "You ready?" I nodded. More than ready. 11:15 a.m., Nathan's apartment. Dropped off the last of my things. He left a sandwich in the fridge with a note. Proud of you. No matter what. 12:10 p.m. Sent the group email. 14 recipients. Our families, closest friends, Valerie's sister, a few mutuals. Simple, factual, no drama. Today I'm filing for divorce from Valerie due to her long-term affair with Mason. I've attached relevant documentation so there's no confusion. Please respect my privacy and understand I'm doing this to protect my future. Thank you to those who stood by me. Attached 3 files. Just enough to silence doubts. Not enough to embarrass anyone unnecessarily. 12:35 p.m. Changed my relationship status on social media. Unfriended Valerie. Unfriended Mason. Updated my contact info everywhere. No captions. No explanations. Just silence. 12:45 p.m. Sent the group text to our friend circle. Wanted you to hear it from me. Valerie and I are divorcing. I found out she and Mason have been together for a long time. I'm stepping away from everything for a bit. Appreciate your friendship. 1 p.m. Called her parents. That one hurt. They always treated me like family. Her mom cried. Her dad just sighed. I apologized for doing it this way but said they deserved to hear it directly. 1:30 p.m. Transferred exactly 50% of our joint savings to Valerie's personal account. Left the transaction note. Your share. Goodbye. Then moved my half into a new, secure account under my name only. 1:45 p.m. Sent Valerie the final message. I know about you and Mason. I've known for 97 days. There is no tax appointment. You'll be served divorce papers when you arrive. Everything has already been filed. Your actions are documented. Your things are still at the house. Don't contact me. 1:46 p.m. Sent Mason a single line. Hope it was worth it. Check your inbox. Then I turned off my phone. For the next 6 hours, I was unreachable. I didn't want to hear the lies, the panic, the bargaining. I sat with Nathan, ate pizza, and played old video games like we used to when we were kids. At 8:23 p.m., I powered my phone back on. 42 missed calls. 17 voicemails. Over 100 text messages. Valerie's messages were a chaotic mess. First angry. What the hell is this? You blindsided me. Then panicked. Please just talk to me. I can explain. Then desperate. Don't do this. We can fix it. I made a mistake. Mason's messages were worse. Pathetic attempts at damage control. It's not what you think. Let's meet. Talk man to man. We never meant to hurt you. I responded to exactly 3 people that night. My mom, thanking her for checking on me. Carl from work, letting him know I was okay. Nathan, from the other room, asking if he wanted a rematch in Call of Duty. That was it. The next morning, Valerie sent another barrage of texts, this time in full-on meltdown mode. She'd realized everyone knew. The advisor she thought we were meeting had, in fact, handed her the divorce packet the moment she walked through the door. Turns out betrayal doesn't feel so clever when the trap closes on you. Later that week, I agreed to meet her once. Not for closure. I had already buried any emotion I once had for her. I just wanted to see her face when I told her how long I'd known. We met at a Starbucks near Nathan's place. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. I sat down, silent. Let her talk. She babbled through excuses, tears, and half-truths. Claimed it was only physical at first, that Mason understood her, and that she never meant to hurt me. When she finally stopped, I played the audio from the Costco parking lot. Her voice, laughing, calling me clueless, a fool. She went pale. That's when I told her. I've known for 97 days. I recorded everything. I documented everything. While you were planning a new life, I was building my escape. She tried to cry again. Asked if there was any chance. I just looked at her, this stranger in Valerie's skin, and felt nothing. I'm not angry, I said. I'm free. As I stood to leave, she asked, where have you been staying? I smiled. Somewhere peaceful. 2 days later, I ran into Mason at a hardware store. Total coincidence. He froze like he'd seen a ghost. He tried the same routine. Let's talk. It got out of hand. We didn't plan it. I just looked at him and asked, was it worth it? He didn't answer. I didn't wait, just walked away. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. She didn't contest anything. Probably realized fighting it would just expose more. I moved into a small apartment close to work. Nothing fancy, just quiet. Heard through a mutual friend that she and Mason are still together, in a rented condo. The dream home they were planning with my money never happened. The Amazon wish list, still there, unpurchased. As for me, I'm okay. Some days are harder than others. I still have moments where I reach across the bed and forget, for just a second, that she's not there. But those moments pass. Last week, I found one of her old coffee mugs in a box, the chipped one she loved. I stared at it for a long time. Then I wrapped it in newspaper, taped the box, and mailed it to her new address. No note, no return label, just sending back what never really belonged to me.